Well, hello and welcome back. We are wrapping up essentially this time our little backup script, and we're going to walk through a couple last minute cleanup things and deploy. And so we're going to talk about deploying a Python script and a couple little things we can do to help ourselves out in the future. Now, one of the things that has sort of come together is that we have got all of our little functions we built. Now, one of the things that we pulled over this time around is we're going to call it backup database. Oops, I don't need that. And we saw this in the prior one where it's just we just didn't pull it into our backup script, I don't think. And so what we've also done is just because we've got a lot of useful little things, we've now tweaked our script a little bit so that it will allow us we can use a bucket parameter. And if we do that by itself, it's going to list the buckets that we have connected for our account. If we do files and give it a bucket name, then it's going to list the files for that bucket. And then we've got, of course, our other pieces. We've also added dump, which gives us our data. We give it a database name and an output file. So it would be my database and my database.sql. And that one, the dump, is just going to dump the file. We could, like we did with our zip and store, we could actually upload our file. So if we wanted, let's see, backup database, let's just do that. We'll just, and we can clean that. We'll bring that over this way a little bit. So what we could do here is we could say, hey, I'm going to back up the database, and then I'm going to take the out file, whatever output file is, and I'm going to send it to my bucket name. But then that means I'm going to give it another bucket name. So let's not, we'll save that for another time. Actually, what we could do is, we'll leave it for now. But basically, we could add another bucket name and then send that out. Or there's a couple different ways we could do that for our backup database. If we wanted to keep it simple as far as number of parameters, then what we could do is generate based on the database name. We could send a database in a bucket and just do database name.sql for our output. So we don't have to send that file name in anymore. And then we could send it out to a bucket. But that's, neither here nor there. That's some of the stuff that you can do. Now, so for example, if we do Python 3, let's just show one real quick. Bucket project is what we call this. And we're going to just call it buckets. If we do that, then it's going to list, hey, here's all of the buckets that we have available. If I want to take one of those, I don't even know what this thing is. Let's see what this is. That one is going to be files. And then it's got a couple different files there. So it's got some text files sitting out there. Obviously, it's been sitting around for a while too. So that is our backup script. Now what we can do, let's open this up a little bit more. So I'm going to go and I'm going to copy this script out. This is called bucket project. And I'm going to copy it out to, I'm going to SCP it. There's a couple ways you can do it, but I'm going to SCP this script out to my demo server. And I'm going to go log into that. And so now if you look, I've got my bucket project there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to run that. And this has got a thing called Shorty. So let's start with, let's do this. Let's do do I have let me see if I have a backup folder. I do not. So let's do this. I'm just going to do, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to make something. I'm going to make a backup folder out on the OPT. Do something out there. And so let's just go ahead and chmod 777 that. And I'm going to own it. I'm going to change that. Oops, I need to sudo that. So now this user owns that backup. So if I look, I can see that on backup, I'm owning it. I've got all the rights I need. So now I'm going to go to backup. Oh, And I'm actually going to go ahead and copy my script out here just to keep it sort of clean. So I'm going to take the bucket project to here, and then I'm going to move that to backup.py. So now I've got that. So now I can try to do Python 3 backup. If I don't give it anything, then it's going to say, hey, I don't have Boto 3. So I need to do pip3 install Boto 3. We're going to look at this in just a second. It's going to take it, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to install that, and then we're going to try to run it. Let's see what it does. Now this one is going to, probably does not have, okay, so that's list out of range, so I don't have it any further able to do that. So let's just do buckets. I need to give it something. Oh, and so now I don't have my I don't have my AWS installed. So I'm going to need to do that. So I had to go through and install my client on this guy. So now when we run it, we can see here's my list of buckets as we've seen before. Now, one of the things we can do is that we can do a pip3 freeze, and we can actually see all of, now this one's got a whole bunch of crap, but we can see all of the packages that we have set up. And so we can see, for example, Boto 3, Boto Core, all that kind of stuff. So what we can do is we can take this, and if we do that into requirements.text, then one of the things we can do for an install is to help us out is we can do a pip3 install with a -r, give it the requirements file, and it will try to install all of that stuff. And now here it's already satisfied because I've already done it, even though it looks like it's picking a couple interesting little versions along the way. Not sure why it's doing that, but that's okay. The bottom line is that makes it easier, so we don't have to, like we just did, run through an install or run the project or the application and then find out that, oh, I'm missing all these requirements. We can just run it once. It's going to pick up whatever we're missing, and then we're off and running. Otherwise, it can get a little bit tedious, particularly when we're doing things like a Django application or something where we've got a lot of different things thrown in there, or there's some other things if you're doing Flask and some other Python projects that can get a little bit complicated. So now what we want to do is, one, we're going to wait for this to be done installing dependencies so we can get through this little thing. Apologies that took a second, but that's okay. I'll be right back when this is done. Okay, that took a long time. I apologize for that. Let me clean up a couple things. And so now what we've got is we've got our little backup script. So what we would want to do in this case is let's just back up the database. So if we wanted to do something complex, I guess we could have it like scheduled. We can just do our very basic backup, dump. I think it's lower. I think it's uppercase, and we're just going to call it shorty.sql. Oops. So I don't have my config. So, and I probably need to clean up that call in there. Three, two, one. So let's make sure I don't have my user. Do I have Rob here somewhere? I don't. Okay. So now I should be able to dump. Let's see. Let's make sure I've got it. Oh, I did not. I'll try one more time. Nope. That's why I don't have that user set up. So if I set up my user properly, let me make sure I've got him. Okay, I do. 1 second, I need to change my .myconf. Three, two, one. Okay, so now that I've got it, now it will run. Now, one of the things we can do is we can actually script this. So let's go to, we're going to make scripts. And we're going to do a backup.shell. Three, two, one. And so we're going to come in here and we're going to create a little script that's just going to do Python 3, our backup, and we're going to call this shorty. And we're going to give it this, and it's going to give us our name. So now, it's going to give us a date. So what we can do here is if we chmod plus x, the backup script, and then we do /backup. Then if we go to our opt backup, what we see now is we've got our name with the date in that. And we could also do it with time and such, like, so that we can actually now, we could create a cron job that runs as, for example, every night at midnight, and now we've backed up our database. Now the other thing we can do is if we want to back up folders, we could do the same thing. So I could do, let me go back to my home, and let me go to my scripts. And what I can also do, oh, where did I put that? Oops, put that in the wrong place. So I'm going to put that to scripts. And so now, if I go to scripts, I could also say, I'm going to back up my, when I do this, I also want, whoop. Let me do this. There we go. So the same thing, I can go back and I can do opt backup, backup.py. And I can do, what did I call that? I called that, where is the, let's see. Oh, zip and store, so archive. I called that archive. And so then I can switch, let's see. So I'm going to take my home folder and I'm just going to call it home. Let's do this, demo3 home.zip. And I think I also need, does that give me the bucket? Let's see if I do archive. Oh, because it gives me a hard-coded bucket name right now, so I'm going to change that. Well, I'll leave that for now. So what I want to do is give it an extra, give it something extra so I can give it the right bucket. But if I do that, and let me just run that real quick. So if I, whoa, let's just do this. Where did I go? There we go. So if I take that and run it, then it's going to take a second, I'm assuming, and then it's going to store my file And that's probably where it's taking a second. I don't know how big this thing is I'm actually creating. I probably should have looked at that. Well, what I'm running into is I've got something that's getting me some sort of weird link because I'm getting a huge file, which normally I would not get. So if I just take this, let's see if this will work. It's still giving me a huge, so something is wrong with my script. If I look at archive, okay, make archive directory. Let's do this real quick. Let's make sure we're getting this right. So the backup name, that's the directory. Now let's make sure it's getting this right. So if I just do, let's do this, scripts. So let's run that. I'm going to archive. I'm going to do scripts. There we go. So something about that slash it does not like. So instead, I'm going to go, so if I just do it from here, let's see if I do it from here. Is that going to be huge? Apparently it is so. So there's something about the number of files and how it's pulling it in. And honestly, that's okay. We can always fix that. Yeah, see, this thing is like blowing up super big. So that's something we can chase down another time. It's somehow grabbing the wrong folder. Yeah, it just says dot. So not sure why it's running that, why it's running a problem. But the bonus is you can come in, you can actually set up your script, and you can use your dates. You can actually pull off some folders or files, and the next thing you know, you've got something that's pretty nice and handy. It is a backup script, but also one that you can push stuff out to your buckets if you want to, out into your S3 buckets. It's taken me a little bit to get through this one because of a couple of bugs. Apologies for that. Hopefully it's not an overly long or overly short recording, but now we've got our backup script. We will come back next time around and we'll have some new stuff to talk through, whether it's Python or something else. We'll just sort of see where we're going. If you have any questions, shoot us an email at info@developreneur. Go out there and have yourself a great day, a great week, and we will talk to you next time. Well, hello, this is Rob from Developreneur, Building Better Developers, and we have a mastermind class that will be starting, or actually several mastermind classes starting in 2024. Check us out at technologymastermind2024.com. We've got all the information you need, including some pricing, early bird discounts up to 50% off, but those are things that you're going to have to act soon. There is an application process, so go ahead and sign up today. Thanks a lot.